تي في. أن نحضر كل إنسان كاملا في المسيح يسوع. تي في. أن نحضر كل إنسان كاملا في المسيح يسوع.
مساء الخير أعزائي المشاهدين، وأهلا بكم في حلقة جديدة من برنامج مصدر ثقة. النهاردة هنبتدي حلقة من حلقاتنا الخاصة بمناسبة الانتخابات الأمريكية 2024. هنبتدي نجيب على قد ما نقدر المرشحين في المناطق المختلفة، ولو في منطقة معرفناش نجيبها هنتكلم عن المرشحين فيها. بصراحة أنا أحب أشكر طبعا كل المرشحين اللي هم رحبوا جدا بالفكرة وجم معانا في برنامج مصدر ثقة. والنهاردة هيكون معايا مايك كارجايل. مايك مسؤول عن أو مرشح نفسه عن الريبابليكان باري اللي هم في مناطق معينة هقولها دلوقتي. فلو أنت من السيتيز دي لازم تتفرج وتشوف المرشح عنك أفكاره إيه، موافق على إيه، بيرفض إيه، هل فعلا يعني حلو لينا ولا مش حلو. احنا مش هنقول خالص تنتخب مين او ما تنتخبش مين. انا على قد ما بنقدر هنبتدي نعرفك مين المرشح اللي موجود في منطقتك، بس تعرف هو مين، لان طبعا صعب جدا جدا ان انت تروح تشوف البلد بس تشوف اسامي ومش عارف مين اللي مرشح نفسه. فعلى قد ما قدرت ان احنا بعتنا وطلبنا من المرشحين، وطبعا بشكر كل اللي رحبوا بالفكره ونوروني في البرنامج مصدر ثقه. لو انت بقى النهارده ركزوا معايا، الناس اللي ساكنه في تشينو هيلز، إيستفيل، فونتانا، مونتكلير، اونتاريو، بومونا، رانش كوكومانجا، أبلاند، كل السيتيز دي هتكون معانا النهارده المرشح عنها للكونجرس. مش مرشح في الستيت، هو مرشح في الكونجرس. وكمان دي اسمها ال 35th ديستريكت. فانتوا لو في ال 35th ديستريكت يبقى لازم تتفرجوا على الحلقه دي معانا النهارده. هيكون معايا النهارده زي ما قلت مايك كارجايل. Welcome, Mike.
Well, thank you so much. It's wonderful to see you again.
Thank you so much. So, our guest today is Mike Cargile, a Republican candidate running for the U.S. House of Representatives in California's 35th District. Mike is not only an experienced professional with a diverse background in the arts, business, and military service, but also a passionate advocate for his community. He has served as a coach, a church deacon with a strong commitment to public safety and community values. Mike is here to share his vision for the future of California and the nation. Again, welcome, Michael. I'm so glad you're with us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, can we start by you telling us a little bit about your background and why you decide to run for Congress?
Sure. I'm a third-generation Army officer. My family has been fought in multiple wars: World War II, Korea, Vietnam. My biological father was actually killed in Vietnam, and my mom remarried, and that's why my name now is Cargile. Used to be McCord. But, I've lived a life all over the world. I went to high school in Germany. I've lived all over the United States, and there's no place like this. And actually, there's no place like California. So I want to save this state, and it seems to be imploding right now, and the evil that is upon us, I've never seen or witnessed anywhere like it is today. But I've been so blessed. I worked in the entertainment industry. I've worked in the business side of things. I was an actor and writer. I was an Army officer myself. I've been very, very blessed. And I feel now that my kids are grown. I've got 2 kids, a boy and a girl, and they're both out of college. And so now it's time for me to invest in the community that allowed us to have this life. So I've always been very active in my kids' lives. They were swimmers. They were very good swimmers, actually. But that takes a huge commitment. So I was never really able to get involved, you know, in the affairs of the city and the county like I am now. But now I see the problem, and I also see the solution. And the solution is primarily the church and the Republican Party. And if both of those entities would actually do what they say they're supposed to do, things would look so different, and life would be very different for all of us. The struggle we're under is because the institutions that are supposed to be there to stop evil are not there. So, I mean, we can get into that if you'd like.
Yeah, we will. Of course, we will. So, but let me ask you, like, you have had an interesting career from being an Army officer to working in Hollywood. Can you share how these experiences have shaped your approach to politics?
Well, I see them in a way that most candidates never will, because I've been on the other side of a camera. So most candidates, you'll see, they get very nervous in settings like this because they're worried about, you know, how people are going to perceive me. I've been on the other side of the camera. I understand Hollywood. I understand the tricks that they also like to pull in interviews and things like that.
We don't have any tricks today.
No tricks today.
No tricks, no tricks.
But I can tell you, it allows me then to sort of sit above it and say, okay, what are we really doing here? Or if it's a hostile interview, I can hear the question in a way that most candidates won't, and then I'll ask or I'll answer the true question that they're trying to either solicit. But it gives me a level of comfort in media environments that most candidates would never have.
That's great, yes. And Mike, you have mentioned the importance of traditional family values. How do you plan to protect these values in your district?
Well, in a multitude of ways, because right now, if you go look at our yard signs when they're out, it's called, the title of our campaign is The Family Man.
Yes, family.
Everything is centered on family values. And those are traditional family values. That's mom and dad are married, a biblical definition of marriage. And they raise their kids, what we call the nuclear family, where the mom and dad instill the values and the traditions that they were raised with in their children. And right now, that is under assault by the state of California in a way that's never been before. They're trying to pull the children away from the parents, and they're trying to destroy the family unit. See, the cornerstone of any civilization is the family.
Yes.
Because no matter what happens, it will be intact.
True.
But if you destroy that family, it doesn't matter what else is there. The society will crumble.
Right.
And I see this all the time when I'm talking to veterans. See, right now there is a catastrophe nobody's even talking about. Did you know that about 22 veterans commit suicide every day?
Wow, 22?
22.
Wow. That's
And
a
you
huge
have to
number.
wonder why.
Why?
Why is this occurring?
Yeah.
Predominantly, it's because of the family. It really is. Now, I told you I was an Army officer, a third generation. My legacy goes back. But my grandfather fought in World War II, saw horrific things. He never suffered this way. And my mom and I would always discuss this. Why does he seem to function so well when these other guys and women are coming back and they're completely falling apart? It's because we used to have a family you would come home to. You would go abroad and you would do your duty, you would protect your nation, and when you came home, you had a family waiting on you, either a wife or your parents. You had a job waiting on you, and you got plugged right back into society. That doesn't exist now. And when they come home, there's no family waiting on them. They had more of a family back in their unit, wherever they were deployed, than they have here in the United States. And you add to that, these young men, they can fight and die for their country, but they can't come home and order a beer. They can't even own a weapon. They're too young, but we'll give you a weapon and you can die somewhere in the world. And everything's upside down. So they come home and their friends and their buddies were killed.
Yes.
And they come home and they feel guilty about surviving this, but there's no one to share it with. There's no family. They're all alone. And I think it's even worse because
So
I have
sad.
evidence that the VA is actually helping to medicate this suicide. And they'll say, oh, you feel depressed? Let's put you on medication. And they're creating drug addicts, and they're giving them drugs that make it easier for them to want to kill themselves. It's very bad what's going on here. But everything, all of our problems are centered around the destruction of the parents. And what's going on right now in the Chino Valley School District, where we have a brave school board that stood up and said,
Yes,
no.
Sonia Shaw.
Sonia Shaw.
Yeah.
And she said, no, parents need to know what's going on in their child,
Correct.
in their child's lives. And then the teacher said, no, we want to keep secrets from the parents. And this creates this wedge. It destroys the family. Because when this child is hearing things that they shouldn't hear, they're being sexualized. We've got pornography in the classroom. We got pornography everywhere. And the school is destroying them. And then when they say, oh, you know what?
Right.
You want to try and be a little girl and you're a boy? We'll help you. And they go, oh, no. My parents would kill me if they heard about this. And they go, oh,
Well,
your
not tell
parents will
them.
never know.
Right.
And in fact, if your household is hostile, you don't even have to go home. We'll take you away from your home and we'll put you in child protective services or foster care. And you'll never see your parents again.
Oh my God. Yes, this is what's
They're
happening
doing
right
this.
now.
Yes.
Exactly.
And it's about to become a law. It's
Yeah.
not just a school board action. This is going to be a law.
That was my second question now, but you speak on it already. So I was about to ask you about parental rights.
Right.
And we speak a little bit about it, but I have a question I want to ask you. So what are your thoughts on the current curriculum and the educational approach to teaching children about their sexuality? How do you believe this should be addressed moving forward?
Well, the best answer for that comes from my old pastor.
Okay.
And he said this. He said, if you know what a doctor knows, you would be a doctor. If you know what a lawyer knows, you would be a lawyer.
Right.
And when a child knows what an adult knows,
You'll be an adult.
they're no longer a child, are they? So you've taken these concepts and these images and you've put them into a mind and an emotional state that's not able to handle this. They're children. They're not supposed to be adults yet. They can't. They're trying to figure out how to tie their shoes. And we've destroyed this child. We've made them an adult prematurely, and this will collapse their emotional state. And we are creating what I deem a target-rich environment for pedophile predators, because they want that child to think sexually, because they are going to be the target of that pedophile. And they want to do away with the term pedophile and just call them minor attracted persons who want to abuse that child. It's sick. These are sick people, but they're trying to sexualize children so that when they do things to them, when they rape these little children, the child is already familiar with the concept. And then
That's
they
so
do,
sad.
oh, it's evil.
Yeah,
It's
it
not
is
just
evil.
sad, it's evil.
It's evil.
And we have to
That's right.
stand up for that, because the
word
children,
evil,
yep,
yes, yes.
They cannot protect themselves.
Yes.
That's our role as adults, is to protect the most vulnerable and the least able to defend themselves. That's our role
Yeah.
as adults.
So let me ask you, Mike, for me as a parent, what should I do to protect my kids from all of this craziness going on?
First of all, you have to know what's going on in the classroom. You can't, it used to be you could take your child, drop them off at the school,
Right.
and trust that that teacher had the child's best interest at heart. That's no longer. You cannot assume that. You have to actually assume the worst, that the worst is happening in that classroom, that they're being shown graphic sexual images, pornography.
From
They're-
age 4, I heard that.
Yes.
From age 4, they can see this.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes, and that's a crime.
Yeah.
So first of all, you have to be aware that a crime is being committed, right? So you
Right.
as a parent
You're
have to assume the responsibility for your child. Second thing, know the law, because California has laws against pornography and minors.
Yeah.
And so if no one tells the police, how are they going to investigate this? So we have parents that are willing to go scream at a school board, but those are the people buying the books.
Right.
So you know the law, and the law says to have this in a classroom or the library is illegal, and you call the police.
So do you think if we call the police, there is something will happen?
There will be a record.
A record.
There will be a record that this police officer was called this day to investigate pornography in a classroom. And we take that burden and put it on the law enforcement shoulders, which is where it should be. Because this is no different than a minor going to 7-Eleven and wanting to buy alcohol.
Yeah. So why is this acceptable? And when it comes to like we want them to change their sex, it's okay. They need to
Right.
take their decision.
That's
So-
because the people making the laws are pedophile predators. These are people who want to use our children, and they want to abuse them in the worst way possible. So we have to stand for this, and we have to stand against this evil. If you have to call the police 100 times a day, then call them.
Oh.
It's their responsibility.
So, like, that leads me to another question, Mike. So, since now we have a lot of laws from California, the state of California, like allowing them to do all of this stuff going on right now, like teach them and show them these books, and it's in the library all day. So, if you get elected to the Congress, so do you think you can protect our kids from state laws?
Absolutely.
Okay. How does that
Absolutely.
work? How does that work?
Well, here's the tug of war with this.
Okay.
Is the federal government is not supposed to reach down into your everyday life. We're supposed to deal with national issues or state issues, and we trust the states to do the right thing,
Of course.
right? So when the state doesn't do the right thing, then the federal government and the Supreme Court have to weigh in and say, no, you're not allowed to destroy the relationship of parents and children.
Yes.
Because it falls under a number of different things, but right off the bat, the idea of life, liberty, and the
Yes.
pursuit of happiness.
Yes.
You know, you've destroyed this child's life. And it's not just taking a life, but it's destroying a life. And this parent-child relationship is the most important because it's what makes a family. And this is one thing that was so evil because Adolf Hitler knew this. And his number one target was the children.
Yes.
Because if he could take the children, and this is what he would do, is he was using the children as leverage. And this is what's happening right now here in California.
Yes.
So if the parent says, oh, I don't want this to happen to my child, then they go, okay, well, you have an unsafe home, and we're going to take your child out of an unsafe home.
Yeah.
But then, this is where they're going. They're going to say, what constitutes or what defines an unsafe home? And an unsafe home could be, you're a Christian,
Right.
and you stand against homosexuality. That makes it unsafe. We'll take your child. Do you have a gun in the house? Well, that's unsafe too. We'll take your child. Are you unvaccinated? Well, that's
Yeah.
unsafe. We'll take your child.
They can take it for any reason now.
That's exactly what they're
For
doing.
no reason even.
What they're doing is they're creating an administrative tool to blackmail parents into complying with whatever they tell you to. You either do what we say or we take your children.
Yeah. And if they take it, like, we will never know where he is anymore.
No.
They didn't give you any information about it.
You probably will never see him again.
Yeah.
And if they're transitioning your child,
With
you'll never see
James.
your little boy as a little boy. You might see him again, but he'll be a little girl this time.
Yeah, yeah. So,
This is evil.
it is.
This is evil. And we have to have people running for office
Right.
who will stay the course. And they will say, this is evil, and I will stand against it. I don't care how loud you scream at me. I will never say it's right when it's wrong.
Oh,
And this is why we have to have people who have a foundation for what constitutes this government. So we were built on biblical principles. We really were.
yeah, right.
This whole idea, this thing that Joe Biden can never remember, we call it the big joke is he can't remember foundational truths about our nation.
Yeah.
That we have a creator, and this creator gave us these rights, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and that all men are created equal, right? But here's the thing, you remove the creator, you also remove the rights.
Exactly.
So the people running things in Washington, D.C. don't believe we're all created equal. They think they are better than we are. And you don't have this right to life and liberty. We will tell you what you have a right to. No creator, no rights. Now it's the lawmaker. The lawmaker becomes God. And the lawmaker says, hey, if that baby's born and you don't want it, kill it.
Oh, good. I was about to ask about. Okay, you're doing great. So I was about, like, what's your thought about abortion?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the lady I'm running against is not only pro-abortion, but she's okay with if the baby is born and you still don't want it, you can kill it.
Oh my God.
That's not abortion.
Even if he's alive.
Even if he's alive. She voted that if the child is born and it survives an abortion, just withhold medical help and let it die.
Oh my God.
That's not abortion. That's infanticide. That's murder.
It's murder.
That is
Right.
murder.
Yeah.
And so I believe life begins at conception. But here's the thing, too.
So you're against abortion.
I am against abortion.
Okay. It's an evil too.
Yes, it is. It's murder.
It's murder.
It's murder.
Yeah.
But as someone who wants to be a legislator and make laws regarding our society, we have to recognize certain things exist. And I do not disagree with President Trump that there are certain things like the life of the mother, or if a woman's been raped or incest,
Right.
you know, if
There's
she,
exceptions.
these are exceptions I'm
Yes.
okay with.
Right. Right.
Because these are evil also. So you
Yeah.
don't want to make one evil punished with another evil. It doesn't
Right.
make two wrongs don't make a right.
Right.
So
Two wrongs don't make it right. basically.
exactly. So
Okay.
I am okay with having exceptions.
Exceptions.
But I also believe that as a society, we have to look at things in a way that the whole society can accept it. And I believe that the best way of looking at this is let's look at the other end. When you die, what's the last thing, the time of death? What do they mark? Do you know? Your last heartbeat.
Oh yeah.
When your heart stops, they say time of death, and that was the last detectable heartbeat.
Right.
So let's use that same measurement for the beginning of your life. If we're going to use the heartbeat as the end of your life, it should also be the beginning of your life, right?
Yeah, right.
That just makes sense.
Right.
And it's something every American, liberal, Democrat, Republican, doesn't matter.
Yes.
They can all agree that when your heart is beating, you're alive.
You're alive.
When it stops, you're dead. So now we go, when does it start? When did you become, and here's the word, a person? Not alive, because we also know that when you die, there are cells in your brain that will
Still alive.
continue.
Yeah.
So are you alive? No. Just because you have a lot of cells alive doesn't mean you're alive, because we recognize you as a person.
Right.
So when did you become a person? Right? When you were a baby, when you were in your mommy's tummy, were you a person? Okay, when did you transition from a group of cells to a person? And I think we have to look at the heartbeat again. So for that first heartbeat to occur, You have to have the vascular system, the muscular system, the neurological, the skeletal. All of these systems have to be intact for that first beat to happen.
Right.
And that's when you became a person.
A person. Right.
So the people of the United States are who I want to be mandated, and I am now, because I was an Army officer. I am under oath to protect the Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution is for and of and by the people. So the people have a heartbeat. And those are the people who fall under the complete protection of the U.S. Constitution. So I don't want to say, you know, it's at a certain week or a certain time. When there's a heartbeat, that's a person.
A person, right.
That's a
Agree.
separate individual person. And I think that the whole country can unite around that idea.
Right. Right. Completely agree with you, Mike. Okay, so Mike, I'm thinking like what's important for my communities. That's why I'm asking you this question. So another thing, like you have been vocal about your stance on immigration. So can you explain your plan for addressing this issue?
Sure.
Because we all immigrant, like all the Arabic community, we all immigrant here in USA. So I wanna know how you deal with this issue.
Well, I'm a Christian.
Yes.
I got saved about 27 years ago. So every time I look at anything, I'm looking at it through those eyes. So the Bible's pretty clear. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Love your neighbor as yourself, right?
Right.
So if the United States said, just come over here, and if you can get on U.S. soil, we won't enforce our laws against you. That's called an offer, right? And in law, for a contract to occur, you must have an offer, an acceptance, and something passed between the two of them. We call it consideration.
Right.
So an offer was made to the whole world. If you can come to the United States, we're not going to use our laws against you. Okay? Now, was this offer accepted? Well, yes, it was. Many, many people accepted this, and I know this. There's a thing in contract law. It's called detrimental reliance, and it's used to prove that there was an unwritten agreement between two parties. And so, and the way it would be is if you said, Mike, I want you to build me a garage, and I go out and buy a bunch of lumber, and then you go, I changed my mind. I go, well, you owe me for the lumber.
Right.
And you would go, well, we didn't have a contract. And I would go to the judge and say, yes, we did. It was an oral agreement.
Yeah.
Because that lumber proves I relied on you to my detriment. So that's how you would prove the existence of this agreement between us.
Okay.
And the United States had an unwritten agreement with the rest of the world.
Right.
Get here on U.S. soil, and we won't enforce our laws against you.
Yeah.
How do I know that agreement is in place? Because there's about 30 million people here
Yes.
that took advantage of that agreement.
Of course.
And they're here. That's my lumber. Right?
Right.
So then I think, all right, well, if that offer had been made to me, would I have accepted it? Absolutely. So I don't blame someone they said, come here, and they said, okay.
Yeah.
You know, what, I get a free phone, I get free education, I get free medical. Why wouldn't you?
Right.
You have to look at it through their eyes. So I don't hate the person that comes here illegally. I understand them. Now, in 2016, Donald Trump became president, and he told the rest of the world, there's a new agreement in place. I'm going to build a wall, and now you have to come through official ports of entry. Okay, that's fine. And illegal immigration was almost non-existent. But then 2020 happened, and they said, forget all that. Come on.
Yeah.
We're going to not finish the wall, and anybody who comes, in fact, we're going to help you get here.
Yes, true.
But those people now know that the new agreement existed, and they're taking advantage of something. So I would say to them, when we take office, President Trump and I, you have to go back home because you knew that agreement no longer existed.
Yeah.
But to the people that were here before 2016, I would say, what did you do with your time here?
Yeah.
I understand why you're here. You're here illegally and you're afraid.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is make a one-time offer. Tell me what you're doing. Tell me what you've done. And if you were here and you acted like a good citizen, you paid your taxes, your kids were in school, you did everything a good citizen would do without being a citizen, we're going to expedite. We're going to move all of this to the front of the line so that we can be done with it quickly. And I'm going to say, are you ready to divorce your home country and become a citizen of the United States? Like a marriage, you can't have more than one wife, right?
Right.
So you're divorcing this one and you're taking this one. But you have to do everything you currently have to do to be a citizen. But I'm going to speed it up. And I'm going to make it affordable. And it's all predicated on finishing the wall, so we have a boundary at our southern border. You come through ports of entry, but if you've been here 20 years and you could show me you're not a convicted felon, you didn't abuse your time, then
you will help them.
Welcome to the United States. You're no longer here illegally. You're a citizen of this great country, and you're going to participate as a citizen. None of this hiding in the shadows, because we don't know who's here.
Right.
We don't know who's here.
Going on from this.
I have to give them a reason to come out of the shadows and say, look, I'm not going to punish you unless you did something wrong.
Exactly.
Now, if you abused your time here, you have to go back to your home country, your country of origin. Or if you've been here in the last few years, you and I both know you shouldn't be here. You have to go back home. And we're not talking a couple people. We're probably talking about 20 million that have come since 2020. But they have to go home. They have to go, and they can. They've only been gone a few years. But for the rest of those people, and I know a lot of them. I know they're good people, and they pay their taxes, and they don't abuse, and they do not like what's happening right now, because they came 20 years ago, and they've got a family here, and they're in the school system, and they go to church and all this, and they don't want to see that life destroyed, because what's happening now, the Bible's very clear on this, that sin is lawlessness, and when you see great lawlessness, it's as a result of sin. And right now we have a government that is promoting sin. It's promoting a homosexual lifestyle. It's promoting lying and cheating and stealing. And the people doing it at the top level are the best. The best criminals in the United States right now are in Washington, D.C.
I see that.
So what's going on in the nation really is a reflection of the leadership. And that's why I'm running for office. Because we need new leaders who understand that I'm not responsible to you. I'm responsible to God with the time I've been given here. And the values that made this country great are what we need to get back to. I say, let's get back to the future. If we don't get back to the values and the traditions that brought us here, we don't have a future.
I love that. I love it. Okay, Mike, so finally, it was interesting, of course, talking with you today. So finally, what message do you want to leave with our viewer, or like your district? So what message you want to tell your people in your district? What do you want to tell them?
Well, first of all, I love them. I love the people of the 35th District, and I go everywhere. I am having so much fun right now because I've run this race twice, and I've had it stolen twice, but I've run this race twice, and my name is out there. Everybody knows my name, but what they don't know is me. So I'm going around and I'm shaking hands and I'm having so much fun.
I saw your name, Smile.
Smile, yeah.
Smile is Cargile.
Smile is Cargile. Because it's, smile's the only thing I can think of to rhyme with Cargile. But I love people. My wife says, you've never met a stranger. Because I can talk to anybody about anything. But I want to fix what's broken. And that's my whole life. It's been spent, if it's broken, I'll fix it. Do you need someone in charge of it? I'll take charge. And that's how I ran the crossing guards for my kids when they were in school because the buses were so dangerous. Okay, I'll take care of it. And I got a bunch of dads together and we fixed it. Our country's broken. Our state is broken. And I'm here to fix it. So I'm asking the voters to trust me, give me a shot. And I tell people this all the time. Let me try, because I think I could be really good at this. But if I'm wrong and I'm no good at it, I will quit and I will find someone better than me for this job, because I live in this district and we have to have the best. We need the strongest voice in Washington who's going to support our families. And if I'm not that guy, I will find him for you, because I live here. So that's my message is, yeah, I'm here for us. And, you know, I will leave this better than I found it. But just let me have a shot. And I will support our families and our values with the strongest voice you've ever seen out of the 35th District.
That's amazing. Thank you, Mike. So thank you for sharing your insights and plans with us today. And we wish you the best in your campaign.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. بشكركم أعزائي المشاهدين، وأتمنى تكون الحلقة فعلا فادتكم وسألنا الأسئلة اللي احنا عايزين نعرفها عن المرشح بتاعنا. هل هو موافق على حاجات اللي احنا معتقدين فيها زي الإجهاض، تعليم تغيير الجنس في المدارس، كمان الهجرة والإيميجريشن. وطبعا دي الأسئلة المحورية اللي أنا هشتغل عليها في الحلقات ديت. فأتمنى تكون الحلقة النهاردة عجبتكم، وأشوفكم قريب في حلقة جديدة من برنامج مصدر ثقة.